Oh, you know what I love?
Sports.
Love sports.
Sports. When
It comes to Texas A&M.
Where are you getting this information?
Let me tell you.
Welcome to TexAgs.
It's here. It's time. There's always a buzz in the air when you hit this moment.
He is a guy that has gotten better and better and better. He's just got that dog in him.
We will develop men. We will graduate players, and we will win championships on the field.
I think of him as this hawk. Before long, he's going to be swooping in on those quarterbacks.
And they embody what the school is about. It's about getting into hard situations and getting ourselves out. It's about working hard. It's about doing amazing things.
And this is a real program. It's not fake. This is a real place. And if you want to be really good at football, this is a really good place to be.
You know, if I'm betting on anybody, it's the Aggies.
Howdy, everybody, and a very pleasant good morning to you. It is a Tuesday, December 30th, and you are tuning into TexAgs Live, brought to you by David Gardner's Jewelers. And Olin, this is our final live show of 2025. We are going to take New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, and January 2nd off. David Nuno will be back in the host chair on Monday, January 5th. And like any sports fan will tell you, a season has ups and downs, highs and lows. And last night, just before the ball drops, the Aggies were dealt one more gut punch in the news that forward Mackenzie Mbako is going to miss the rest of the season. There's a basketball game we got to get to, OB, but the fact that your biggest portal addition is going to miss the entirety of conference play is quite the blow to Bucky McMillan in their first-year aspirations here in Aggieland. And right off the top, we've got to dive into that news. He played in 7 games. He was averaging 10 points and about 5 rebounds. He wasn't the player you expected to get, as he was slowed in preseason camp by a foot injury, missed the first few games, and now that same foot injury is going to cost him the rest of his season.
Even Bucky McMillan, honest coach, acknowledged that it's a big loss. He was averaging 10.4 points, but that's kind of misleading. I think there was one game where he played but didn't play a lot. And he has size. And he's versatile because he's a big guy that can shoot outside, but he's 6'9", about 230, I think. And this isn't a big team. There's going to be matchup problems inside in SEC play when they're, picking on guys their own size and bigger. He was a guy that I think you could, obviously at 6'9", you could use him in underneath if you had to, especially on defense. So, there's no way around it. It wasn't a factor last night.
Nope.
But, you're going to be playing better teams than Prairie View every game.
Absolutely. And the conference play begins on Saturday against LSU. We'll have more basketball talk and actually talk about the game against the Prairie View Panthers last night in just a little bit. But Mackenzie Mbako, 6'9", you mentioned it. That's not a big team. It's a team that lacks physicality outside of Rashawn Agee, who had another double-double last night, 19 points, 13 boards. But without Mbako, you're going to have to see a smaller, faster lineup, right? Coach McMillan yesterday on this program discussed with Billy Liucci, Luke, and myself about how when Mbako's not on the floor, Agee has been playing out of position at the 4 rather than the 5, which is where they feel most comfortable with him. Now you're going to see 4 guards on the floor with him. They're going to try and push the pace more. That's going to lead to shorter stints for Rashawn Agee, who through 13 games has been your best player in maroon and white. You worry about him getting in foul trouble. You worry about his stamina running the pace in games against teams that are going to be bigger and more physical inside than you are. Just what do you think? I don't know how to present this question correctly. What else do they need to do around Agee to continue to set him up for success, to really be the straw that stirs the drink for this team as SEC play begins?
I would think obviously they're going to need to shoot well from the perimeter. And they can, but they're somewhat inconsistent, as most teams that have to rely on perimeter shooting can be. But again, look, A&M, if you had McKenzie playing, is still going to typically be at a disadvantage in the paint against SEC caliber competition. They're not as big as both, and that's with Mbaka. So I think they're going to be really vulnerable inside, and Bucky's doing with a four-guard lineup, and he talked about, hey, nobody's going to feel sorry for us. We got to find a way, and all the things you just said about how they're going to be playing. They press anyway, but just all that. Just try. Basically, what I think they're going to try to do is just outrun opponents, and hopefully they can get their opponents tired and take advantage in some ways. But there was a time when that strategy could be effective consistently, but then that was a long time ago before they stopped the clock every 4 minutes. Sure. So I just think they're going to have a hard time in SEC play because there's going to be some physical mismatches out there. Now, look, if they're able to create a lot of turnovers and get some easy baskets off turnovers and shoot well from the perimeter, they can certainly win games. I'm not saying that they're going to go 0-18, but it's going to be difficult.
If you're looking for options, some size to get Aggie some help, consider this. So when Mbako missed the first 5 games of the season, that was really before they had given Jamie Vinson an extended look, and he had played well at times, picking up some minutes for Fetty after we talked, or Bucky McMillan has discussed how he didn't like the way Federico closed out the UCF game with the lack of effort and energy late in the contest. So if more minutes fell to Vinson, is that an option? Those two guys, if they can elevate their play, is that a path to success for this A&M team, or is it just going to have to go through the guard play and the perimeter shooting?
Well, from what I've seen, and I haven't covered every single game, those guys are role players. And they're going to be role players going up, in some cases, against star players. Can they elevate their game? I don't ever want to say a player can't. I'll make a football comparison. I once saw Zach Calzada elevate his game, and he had a tremendous game, and then he played solid, and then he also had some games where he looked poorly. So can they elevate their game? Yeah. Can they elevate their game and be really create a stalemate against the other team's bigs over the course of 18 SEC games? I'm skeptical, but you don't ever want to say no, because you never know what someone can do in a given an opportunity, and but they will both have to play at a higher level than I've seen.
Absolutely. McKenzie Mbako lost for the year with a foot injury. It's a big blow. No way around it, but if you're looking for a silver lining, this one's courtesy of Luke Evangelist, the eternal optimist in the TexAgs office, writing in his 5 thoughts, which is available to TexAgs premium subscribers now. The silver lining of this entire situation is that McMillan and the Aggies already played without Mbako for 6 games, so A&M knows what works and doesn't work without him on the floor. One of the major adjustments you'll see is that the Aggies will play more small ball with Rashawn Agee at the 5 and 4 guards around him. Another silver lining, Olin, yesterday the Aggies won yet another Quadrant 4 bye game. That's not always a guarantee in College Station, as we learned against Wofford a few years ago. They defeated Prairie View A&M by 29 points, 111-82 at Reed Arena. They're now 10-3. The good news, there's no big-time blows to the NCAA tournament resume. The bad news, there's no Quadrant 1, Quadrant 2 wins on that resume either, and you let a couple of opportunities slip through your fingers earlier on in the year against UCF and SMU, respectively. That still seems like a net positive, right? Because the Aggies still control their own destiny, and if they could find a way to win 10 or 11 games in conference play, they're going to play their way into the field of 68.
Yeah,
of course, that's much easier said than done.
Yeah, if they can find a way to win 10 games in the SEC, yeah, they'll probably get into the tournament. I would think that, to be just honest, I would think that if there was a bookie and was putting a over-under on A&M SEC wins, I would think he'd probably start at 5.5, 6, Doesn't mean they can't exceed that. We see that happen in sports all the time. So I'm not going to dismiss everybody and everything, but when Luke talks about, they did pretty well without McKenzie, and hey, we know what works. Yeah, it worked against Manhattan. It worked against Northwestern State and Texas Southern. A&M has 2 wins over major college or major conference teams, Pitt and Florida State. And I don't think Florida State's beaten an opponent from a major conference, even though they almost beat Florida. Look, they're going to have to. It's a team that likes to shoot the 3, and they're going to have to shoot it well. And if they don't, they're probably going to have some trouble. So, but yeah, if they can find 10 wins in SEC play, they're going to have a really good chance to get into the tournament.
So let's talk about what worked last night against Prairie View, because we talk a lot about this team's 3-point shooting ability and the kind of threats that almost every single player in maroon and white is from the outside. You wrote about it last night, OB. You were there. They really made their presence felt inside and dominated the paint, which is something we haven't seen from this team so far this season. And I have to think that the opponent had a lot to do with that.
Yeah, it did. Well, first of all, they were, and Bucky pointed this out. Look, Prairie View knows that A&M shoots a lot of 3s. So they were more inclined to guard the perimeter. And A&M, I think, was just quicker. When I say that, they scored something like 52 points in the paint, but they had 24 early. So early in the game, they were attacking inside, and they were going straight to the glass. So when I say they were dominant inside, it wasn't so much that they're dumping the ball inside to Aggie, although that was definitely, one of the things they did. But a lot of it was just going on the drive and beating getting around your guy for layups. So that was, I guess I kind of saw where Prairie View's defense was making them vulnerable and took advantage of that, which was the right thing to do. Now, they ended up still shooting their average of 3-pointers attempted. They shot 30 3-pointers. They made 11. So I think it was 11 that they made, maybe 10.
You're right.
It was 11.
Stop second guessing yourself.
So, I've slept since then. So they did what it took to win that game. And again, the question will be if LSU and every other team you face, if LSU employs the same strategy and guards heavily at the perimeter, are you quick enough to drive by LSU players and get easy layups? And I don't know if that's going to be the case.
So last night against Prairie View A&M, Rashawn Agee led the Aggies with 19 points and 13 rebounds. I believe his 5th double-double of the season. 5 Aggies in double figures. That was Marcus Hill with 16, Ruben Dominguez with 14, Pop Isaacs 13, and Josh Holloway with 10. 111-82. The Ags are now 10-3 on the season. They'll open up that 18-game SEC schedule on Saturday against LSU. The rooting interest in your family will be a little bit divided on that Saturday. But there's plenty more basketball to play, and at least for the moment, the Aggies continue to control their own destiny, have their own fate in their own hands, which is a good thing. It's nice to go into the new year without having a big-time blow, a major blemish on an NCAA tournament resume. But they'll obviously be fighting an uphill battle without the services of Mackenzie Mbako in the new year. Obviously, it was a blowout for the Aggies, but post-game, everybody wanted to hear what Bucky McMillan had to say about the status of Mbako, and here's what the head coach had to say in the post-game press conference.
I'll go ahead and I'll just address this now because I'm sure I'll get asked about it. Mackenzie Mbako was playing. He had a foot injury that he had surgery on early in the year. He's going to have to do another surgery on it. And it won't be he's probably been playing hurt on it. And they're going to have to kind of do something to it that'll help it. It won't be a long-term deal that won't affect his career, but he'll be out the rest of the season. It's refractured, and so they're going to have to end up putting a plate in there to support it, which is a common surgery, not like an ACL, not like tearing an ACL twice where you hold your breath. This will be something where he's back healthy. He'll be just as good as new. What a soldier, though, for battling, trying to fight through that for this team. And as much as he wants to be out here, you obviously can't play with a broken foot. I'd be lying if I say that we're not going to miss him. He's obviously a very good player. Two of the 3 games that we lost without him. And so, he's an impact to our team in a lot of ways. That means that, hey, we can't feel sorry for ourselves. We just got to really step it up. Our players, our coaches, and our fans. We're going to need everybody because we're going into the gauntlet of SEC play without one of our really good players. And we don't want to make any excuses. We want to find a way. So we got to rally together. We need the fans to rally with us, and that starts on Saturday at, I guess, 3 p.m.? 3 p.m. versus LSU. So hopefully everybody can be here and fight with us as we go through the gauntlet of the SEC.
So that's Bucky McMillan's comments on Mackenzie Mbako. The news of the day last night was that the 6'9" forward, out for the season with a broken foot. And as Coach McMillan said, kind of hard to play on a broken foot. We'll say howdy to the crew on the other side, but first we'll pay some bills. You're watching TexAgs Live, brought to you by David Gardner's Jewelers. I'm Richard Zane in for David Nuno. He's Olin Buchanan. We're inside the Rollo Insurance Studio, OB. Typically, we're over at the Holistic Planning Cool Zone, but not today. We're at the main desk. Nobody sitting at the Angry Elephant Social Center, News and Social Center this morning. If you want to interact with the show on the Buppy's Catering and Bartending Hotline, that number 979-693-1150 will take your calls, read your texts. If you want to interact with the show, Olin, am I missing any other sponsorship reads before we hit a first break?
No,
Did I get them all?
I think you did.
I get
Nicely
them all?
done.
Wow, that's incredible. We'll say howdy to the crew on the other side. You're watching TexAgs Live, brought to you by David Gardner's Jewelers.
Hey guys, David Nuno here to talk about our new partners with EventPipe. They are a leader in hotel booking technology, and now they're giving you a chance to support Aggie student athletes every time that you travel. Thanks to their partnership with United and EventPipe, whether you're heading into a game, a business trip, or family vacation, every room that you book comes with cash back in the pockets of Aggie athletes. That's a wonderful deal. And with EventPipe, you'll get discounted hotel rates up to 20% lower than the major travel sites while enjoying a fast, easy booking process. They've even created Presto, EventPipe's quick launch booking solution. It lets organizations build branded hotel sites powered by live hotel inventory, making it simple to book the perfect stay. So next time you want to book a trip, do it the smart way with EventPipe and support Texas Aggies NIL through United. Visit their website, tau.eventpipe.com.
Welcome back into TexAgs Live, brought to you by David Gardner's Jewelers. Olin, the first hour each morning we call the Go Hour, and they're sponsored by who?
By the Warehouse, CC Creations. That's the one we.
That is the one we forgot. That's on me.
For the Go Hour.
That's a hand up. That's on me.
Well, but we remembered.
Yes, I mean, we got there. We got there.
If I score a touchdown in the second quarter, it's the same. It
still counts as 7 points.
It still counts, yeah. Perfect. Even if you don't score it in the first quarter.
Olin's got my back. Let's go ahead and say howdy to the crew. I told you a little bit earlier, nobody in the Angry Elephant News and Social Center, but Nick Savage is behind the glass, pulling the strings this morning. Howdy, good morning, Nick.
Howdy, good morning, y'all. There's barely anyone in the office, but, sometimes those are the most relaxing days. Kay's with me, as well as Kaylee Dreyer, keeping the ship afloat.
Keeping the what afloat, Nick?
The ship afloat.
Yeah, that's good. 2 of the 3 text yells showing up. Yeah, Nick Sewage. Freudian slip from Mr. Savage.
You know what? I would like to have Savage as a last name, but I would think if you're you need to be built kind of like Hunter Goodwin,
Yeah.
Like
Nick, who was it? The
Hunter
women's
Savage.
Basketball player that was in here a few weeks ago. Was it Lamaya Hilton that found out your name was Nick Savage and she thought that was the coolest name of all time?
Yeah.
She was like, wow, I got to go meet Nick Savage. Nick Savage. Nick, what's on your mind this morning? You have anything?
Yeah, well, I went while y'all were discussing, what should the expectations be for Aggie basketball in SEC play, right? And OB, you said if you were a betting man, you'd think it would be around 5.5 wins
I
or
said,
so.
Yeah, that's what a bookie would probably put at.
Yeah, so I went and tried to find some projections, and BetIQ has the Aggies at 8.1 wins this season in conference play, which, seems fair at the moment. FanDuel conference odds overall, the Aggies are 10th at plus 4,500. So just seems like they're right in the middle of the pack, and kind of what you were saying, OB.
So look, my ears came out for a minute. So what is the under/over? Did they
8.1 wins is what the projection is in conference. Yeah, and they're 10th in conference odds at plus 4,500.
Okay. Now, was that done before or after the McKenzie news?
I'm not sure.
That was probably all before. So, yeah, you could expect it to drop.
Okay. So if, based on them, take the over if it's 5.5, right? But at 8, would you take the over under?
I would not.
I mean, it's just, they're just going to have to, they're going to have to play better than they have shown against the higher end competition that they've played so far.
They're going to have to defend their home floor, win the games they have to win against the teams that are kind of in that same tier as them, and then maybe pick off 1 or 2 games that they shouldn't.
Well, there's going to be
some
some
games
expected
to win.
Right. Look, I'm not saying they can't. I'm just saying that, the competition is going to get a lot stronger, and they know that. They've acknowledged it. I think Pop Isaacs last night said, hey, it's not going to be peaches and cream in SEC play. And we're going to have some ups and downs. Hopefully they'll have more ups than downs. Again,
that conference play, that schedule with the ups and downs begins Saturday against LSU.
I heard somebody in the press area last night said, well, at least LSU's not very good. I'm like, they beat SMU. SMU beat you. Now I know that you can't. That all changes.
You're doing transitive property
right,
here,
and that doesn't work. But I'm just saying, you don't want to. I don't want to dismiss any team because I don't think you're good enough as a Texas A&M team to say, okay, we're going to beat that team. We're going to beat that team. If you play well, you can beat all those teams, but you're going to have to play better than you've been playing, and they acknowledge that.
Mm-hmm. Basketball conversation here on TexAgs Live, brought to you by David Gardner's Jewelers, and with the TexAgs columnist, Heisman Trophy voter Olin Buchanan, we got to get some football thoughts in. And you're writing a column today, OB. What's the idea? What can we expect to see on TexAgs.com a little bit later this afternoon?
Well, kind of my world very much, like a lot of Aggies, will revolve around Texas A&M football. And so I was wondering about some things for already for next season. So I'm calling it the 7 wonders of the world. And I'd like to hear if people want to call or text what might be some of their primary things they're wondering about. Like, I wonder what they're going to do with Terry Bussey. Is Terry Bussey, could he be moved back to corner? They brought him in to play corner, brought him over to play receiver out of necessity, and he's done a solid job and probably getting better. So maybe they want to keep him there. Or if you have more depth at receiver, because I'm sure they're going to bring in somebody from the portal. Do you look at maybe put him back since you lost? Maybe you need somebody at corner more than receiver. So I wonder about that. I wonder how they're going to rebuild the offensive line. Sure, the portal is going to be a big part of that, but I wonder how good some of these backup guys are. I wonder who's going to be there to coach and how they're going to coach Marcel Reed. How are they going to get Marcel Reed to improve, which I expect him to. But there's just certain things. Where's the pass rush going to come from now? Wondered that last year, and it was a better pass rush than the previous year. So the kicking game, wonder what they're going to do with special teams, how they're going to upgrade special teams. So just some thoughts about, what are you wondering about or concerned about, move in the off season as they hope to follow up an 11-win season with an even better year next year.
That column coming out later today on TexAgs.com. And that question, OB, what are you wondering about? What are you concerned about as Texas A&M football is entering the offseason? Perhaps a perfect question to ask our next guest. On the other side, we'll chat with the Hall of Fame writer, Charean Williams, right here on TexAgs Live. The Go Hour, brought to you by the Warehouse at CC Creations, rolls on. Richard Zane, Olin Buchanan inside the Rollo Insurance Studio, and we're wasting no time in hopping out to the Buffy's Catering and Bartending Hotline to chat with great friend of the program, the Hall of Fame writer, Charean Williams. Howdy, Charean. Hope you had a very Merry Christmas and are looking forward to a great 2026.
Yeah, Happy New Year to you guys. I hope it's 2026 is going to be even better than 2025.
With that, you kind of bring up a topic that I want to get into later on in the show, but there have been so many great moments for Texas A&M athletics this year. Do you have a number one Aggie moment for 2025?
Well, it's easily for me, it's the volleyball team, just because of my history with the team. My husband was an assistant coach for the team. That's how we met and, got married. So very special place, A&M volleyball in my heart, and covered them, since the 1980s. And to see them win it, I don't know if I ever thought it would be possible. Certainly I came to the match. I'm right near TCU right now, and I came to the match at TCU that they played, and they were horrible. They lost in 5, and I was like, man, I don't know how good they are. It's supposed to be this top 10 team. I'm not so sure about them, but they kept getting better and better. And so that, for me, easily was the highlight. But there are so many. I mean, look at the track championship. That was fun to watch that on TV. You look at what the softball team did to get to number 1, and it didn't turn out quite the way we wanted it, but that was an exciting season. And, baseball provided some moments. And, of course, football, I think, surprised everyone with the way they played. So it was a really great year, calendar year, for the Aggies in 2025. And I'm excited to see what 2026 is going to hold. I think it's going to be even better.
I hope so. My moment, you didn't ask, but my moment is going to be probably the touchdown pass on 4th down to beat Notre Dame. Even though winning at LSU and the way they did was pretty high on the list. But, football for me is always first.
Sure.
So Charean saying volleyball makes perfect sense. And that'd be high on my list, but I always go football first.
I gotcha. Olin Buchanan has always got football top of mind, and your column coming out later today poses a great question for Charean to answer as well.
Charean, what's some of the 1 or 2 things that you wonder about most about A&M football moving forward?
Can they sustain the success? I think is the number one thing. I'm surprised at how many players have entered the portal. And I know it's a yearly thing and guys want more money. I mean, I understand how it works and I understand why they do it. I'm just kind of surprised that we've had as many players enter the portal that I didn't think, especially at the tight end position, would be going. So can you sustain that success long term? We have the money, there's no doubt. You got to pick the right players. You got to keep the right players, and it's a challenge, and it's a year by year challenge. And I think the landscape has changed since Alabama could get 2 teams or 3 teams that would win a national championship. They went 2 or 3 deep and had the best players. Those days are over, and it's going to be picking the correct players and having the quarterback. And if you don't have the quarterback, you're not going to have success. That's the bottom line. You have to have a quarterback who can win. And I think A&M's quarterback the last 2 games let him down. He did not play good enough, and I think he'd be the first to tell you, he did not play good enough in the Texas game or the Miami game to give them a chance to win. And he's got to be better if they're going to have success. But that's just it, I think, is just can they sustain that success that they had this season and build on it. And I don't know, it remains to be seen. We heard about finish, and this isn't the same team we've had in the past, and they failed to finish. So, we're going to see if they can finish one of these years.
Of course, the transfer portal opens on Friday, January 2nd, so we'll see how A&M answers some of those off-season questions as they try to retool, plug in some pieces that can hopefully improve them at least up front on both the offensive, defensive lines. I know Cam Coleman entered his name in the portal. Olin was interested in how the Aggies go after receiver, stuff like that. But I want to get into some NFL conversation with you, Charean, because there were quite a few games on Christmas Day. Olin's Cowboys picked up a win. My Lions were eliminated. I know talking with OB earlier this week, he was kind of on the fence on whether or not a win over a hated NFC East rival is good or bad for the Cowboys, considering at this point they're just playing for draft position.
Yeah, I don't know that the draft position where they are that much difference.
Did we lose her?
The Raiders, but I think where the Cowboys are picking, I just don't know if it mattered all that much. So I didn't mind them doing what they did. I think they wanted to play and wanted to win that game, and they played fairly well, at least on offense, in that game. But they just showed you how much they have to go to get to where they want to be, because that defense just isn't very good.
That's true. I thought that I was don't get it wrong. I was definitely rooting for a win. I can't watch them and hope for a loss. But I always thought, kind of if they lose, the silver lining is you may get a slot better or two better in the draft. I've always been frustrated about the Cowboys come draft time when they don't take some Aggies that I wanted them to take, like Justin Matabike or Edgerrin Cooper or Devon Achane or even Christian Kirk. So is there anybody on the Aggies that you would like to see the Cowboys draft, and where would they need to, that sets up with their needs?
Well, they need edge rushers, and Cassius Howell, they're going to talk about his arm length and all that. I just think he's a great pass rusher. I think sometimes, and I've read the analytics on it. I've seen some guys who've been good at college and didn't have the arm length and didn't go to and went to the NFL and didn't produce like they did in college. I get all that. I've seen enough for him to think he's going to be a really good edge rusher in the NFL. And I would love to see the Cowboys get him. I don't know how high he's going to go. I haven't talked to scouts or anything, but they need as many edge rushers as they can possibly get. As we saw, A&M's a perfect example of this in the Miami game, and probably you point to that in the Texas game as well. If you can't be dominant on the offensive line and defensive line, you're not going to have a good team. I talk about the quarterback, but you got to be really good on the offensive line and defensive line as well. Bill Parcells' philosophy: if you're not good there, you're not going to be a good team. You don't have a chance to win a championship. I think it's the same way for the Cowboys. They got rid of one of the best pass rushers in the NFL. They have yet to replace him. I don't know how you replace him. These guys don't grow on trees, but I think Cassius Howell would be a good fit for the Cowboys.
Got to ask about the Houston Texans as well. They've won a league best 8 in a row after winning on Saturday. What an incredible turnaround for Houston after starting 0-3. Just your thoughts on the Texans as they look to be quite a dangerous team come playoff time with that defense and that quarterback.
That defense can play with anybody, and they're going to keep them in the game, and they're going to give them a chance. I don't know if they have a shot to go to the Super Bowl. I do know you don't want to play them just because that defense is so good. And Stroud has gotten better. I think they've figured things out with the offensive coordinator and the quarterback and what he likes and what they're good at. And so I think they've gotten much, much better on offense from where they were early in the season. They beat some really good teams. You look at the wins that they had, there's some really good wins. So they've got a chance, and I really like what they're doing, especially with that defense. So I love the way they're playing right now.
And quickly, before we have to let you go, Charean, Aggies in the NFL for Week 17. There's only one more week remaining in the regular season.
I'm a shout out to a couple people. Von Miller had another sack. He has 8 this year. That's the most he's had since 2022 when he had 8. He's 4 sacks in the top 10 career all time. He's got 137.5. We'll see if he gets another season and can get into that top 10. A-10 just keeps doing what he's doing. 83 rushing yards, 29 receivings. Mike Evans had a touchdown. Ja'Day Walker is really coming on. 2 catches for 30 yards. The last pass that would have won the game was intended for him. It was bounced in there. Number 3, of course, Myles Garrett. He didn't get a sack. Still a half sack from tying the record, a sack from breaking the record. But he affected that game. The Steelers were more concerned about keeping him from getting the record than they were from winning, and the Browns won. Huge impact on that game. Number 2, Nick Scorton. 4 tackles, a sack, a forced fumble, played really, really well. He's come on and is just playing great right now. Number 1, Antonio Johnson. Jaguars saved the game, intercepted a Hail Mary pass, and he's playing very well for a team that looks like it's going to win its division. Texans are still in that race, but it looks like the Jaguars, all they have to do is beat the Titans, and they win the division.
You mentioned Myles Garrett not getting that sack against Pittsburgh and Old Man Rodgers. One more game, he plays Joe Burrow and the Bengals. Does 95 get that record in Week 18?
Well, he says absolutely he's going to get it, so you have to believe Myles Garrett's going to get it. Let me just say this. He's a lock for Defensive Player of the Year. He's had one of the greatest seasons for a defensive player in NFL history. He's going to be in my MVP top 5. And if the Browns were good, he would probably be in contention to win the MVP award. He has been that dominant. He has been the Lawrence Taylor. That's the last time we saw a season like this from an edge rusher was Lawrence Taylor. So that tells you how good he's played this season. So I have no doubt. I think he's going to get the record this week. I think he's going to get more than 1 sack against Joe Burrow. That offensive line is not very good.
Awesome. We'll be watching along to see if Myles can get the single-season sack record. Charean, thanks so much for taking some time to chat with us this morning, and have a Happy New Year. We'll talk with you in 2026.
Thank you, guys. Happy New Year.
Charean Williams, Hall of Fame writer.
Hall of Fame person.
Yes, awesome person. Always appreciate chatting with her. OB, on the other side of this break, we'll close out the Go Hour and get ready for the rest of the show as we say goodbye to Olin for 2025. Can you guys believe it? No more Olin after this next segment. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to TexAgs Live, brought to you by David Gardner's Jewelers.
Hey friends, David Nuno here for Prize Picks. They're back on TexAgs, prizepicks.com/TexAgs. Use the code TexAgs to get $50 once you play in $5 lineups. And Prize Picks is the best place to win cash while watching sports. Football season's here, basketball coming up, baseball, you name it. You go to prizepicks.com/TexAgs and start having some fun watching sports, making some money on there. And you can play Prize Picks in over 40 states, including California and Texas. Remember, they'll give you $50 in lineups once you play $5 lineups on Prize Picks. And they have the new thing. It's called It's Good to Be Right campaign, and they're kicking off the upcoming NFL season with their bold new campaign, It's Good to Be Right. The seasonal long push celebrates the thrills of getting it right, from the perfect prediction to winning your Prize Picks lineups. Prize Picks is good to be right. I wish I had Olin here for it because he loves energy drinks. Catalyst Citrus Spark. This is one of the new flavors out there. Whether you're grinding through workouts, cramming for a test, or closing in on a deal, or getting ready for TexAgs Live, you never know, right? Fast becoming the go-to fuel for Aggies everywhere. Zero sugar, I'm all in for that. Or synthetic sweeteners, no artificial colors or flavors. Catalyst delivers clean, high-performance energy with smooth, crisp taste that is never syrupy, designed for both health and hustle. You want to get going? You use this Catalyst right here. It's about pure energy and pure results. And what sets them apart? Packed with premium nootropics blended to boost focus, clarity, and mental stamina. I need this. I'm in, guys. I'm in. Plus, with plant-based caffeine, vitamin B12, B6, Catalyst supports metabolism and energy production, making it more than a drink. It's your lifestyle training partner. Built for competitors on the field, Catalyst fuels strength, focus, and pure results. Buy now at drinkcatalyst.com. That is drinkcatalyst.com. Train harder, think sharper. Pure results is Catalyst.
Detroit legend Bob Seger bringing you back.
Did you see Bob Seger when you were at the when Liucci took you to the Lions?
I did see him. He was a couple suites away from us. It was really cool.
I'm a big fan.
I love Bob Seger.
That's one of my favorite songs. Right there.
Night Moves.
Yeah.
What is your favorite Bob Seger song? Do you have one?
You know what? This is kind of lame because it should be that one, but I kind of like Rock and Roll Never Forgets.
I love Against the Wind.
It's a great song.
So good.
So many good ones.
As a reminder, the final segment of the show is brought to you by Double Dave's. That is at 10:50 a.m. But right now, be caller number 12 at 979-693-1150, and we'll hook you up with your choice of a dozen pepperoni rolls or a large one-topping pizza from Double Dave's. Serving Aggieland since 1984, Double Dave's Pizza serving up your favorite pizza and world-famous pepperoni rolls with reliable in-house delivery, bringing piping hot goodness straight to your door. Just click doubledaves.com and your favorites are on their way.
Are you going for the pizza or the
I would go with pepperoni rolls.
Okay.
That's just me.
Under over 5.5?
Oh, over.
Okay.
Probably 6 or 7.
All right.
You know? OB.
6 or 7.
Yeah. Thank you. OB. I didn't mean to kill you off at the end of last segment, right?
Thank
You're
you.
going to be back next year.
Well,
this
let's
is
hope.
just your last minute on radio for 2025. And I didn't ask you yesterday about the playoff games. We've got 4 quarterfinal games, 1 on New Year's Eve and 3 on New Year's Day. Who do you have winning and moving on to the semis?
I'm going to take Ohio State. I'm going to take Indiana, Georgia, and Texas Tech.
Okay, so Olin Buchanan's rocking with the favorites in each game. How about that?
I didn't know they were all favorites.
Yeah, you took the higher seeds in every game.
Oh, okay. Didn't think of it that way. I just took the teams I thought would win.
Olin, I appreciate you as always, sir. Being here with you on the Go Hour is just, I told you yesterday, a security blanket because an hour goes by like that.
Because I talk so much.
You talk so much, you never know It's 9 a.m. here on a Tuesday morning. You are listening to TexAgs Live, brought to you by David Gardner's Jewelers. Richard Zane inside the Rollo Insurance Studio. And just as a programming reminder, this is our final live show of 2025 as our staff takes off New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, and Friday, January 2nd. Come Monday, January 5th, David Nuno will be back in the host chair. We'll be back to our normal programming Monday through Friday, 5 days a week, 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. So you won't want to miss that as we ring in 2026 upcoming in next week. And as far as programming reminders for today's show, we've got an open segment right here, but coming up in this hour, we'll talk some women's hoops with former Texas A&M women's basketball player Katy Lee coming up at about 9:20. We'll do a portal primer and get some recruiting discussion with TexAgs senior recruiting analyst Jason Howell at the 10:35 segment. And then in the 10 o'clock hour, we'll chat with TexAgs co-owner Billy Liucci on a mobile at 10 a.m. And then the national championship winning head volleyball coach Jamie Morrison will join us inside the Rollo Insurance Studio coming up at 10:35. But before then, Nick, I'll kind of tease this segment, this topic a little bit earlier this week and even earlier in the show. The top A&M sports moments of 2025. There's actually been a ton of them. I put together a story that's probably going to come out a little bit later this week. Just so many different wins and moments, record-breaking performances, championships at the conference and national level. Nick, do you have a list of your favorite A&M moments of the past calendar year?
Well, I'm kind of looking at yours to remind me of some of them because, again, there were so many. It was a fun fall, especially. Obviously, you got to put Aggie volleyball up there. You got the whole entirety of the 12th man buying into volleyball. Jamie Morrison, I remember him sitting in that studio talking about how he wanted Aggie volleyball to become that big, and what better way to do it than win a national championship and a little ahead of schedule, too. 3 years is all it took for him to get it done. So that's obviously up there. Notre Dame win. I remember watching that here at the office with you and Kay, and we were losing our minds.
Nuno was here, too.
Yeah,
Don't
David
forget
was here.
David.
I forget. Yeah. No, he was.
No, David was
there.
in South Bend.
Yeah, David was there.
My bad.
But
it was just the three of us.
Yeah, but that was a blast. LSU game obviously is up there as well.
That's the one David was here for.
Yeah.
And we all watched that in the lobby as well. The second half went crazy. I want to go back to your volleyball thought, though, because you're right. Jamie Morrison and that team of 9 seniors that featured 4 All-Americans, that run to the national title, there's so many different moments inside that run that helped capture the imagination of the entire 12th man and really build a really feverish fan base around the sport that we've really never seen in College Station before, right? Obviously, the biggest moment of the year is that final kill from Afena Kosakpala, the confetti, the trophy, and a national championship. But just within that run in the NCAA tournament alone, there's probably 4 or 5 different moments that might make the top 10 list, if you're trying to put a top 10 together, of the entire year for Texas A&M athletics. Because that upset of Nebraska really captured the imagination and caught the attention of the entire volleyball world and the country, because that was an undefeated Nebraska team. They hadn't lost on their home floor in over 1,000 days. And this underdog, although A&M never looked at themselves as an underdog, went into Lincoln and did what many thought to be unthinkable. Consider this, Nick. Like, before the tournament began, whatever advanced analytics are out there gave Nebraska over a 50% chance to win the national championship.
That's crazy.
Everybody else in the tournament was at 10% or less. Nebraska, over 50% chance to win the entire thing, and they didn't even get out of their own regional.
Well, it seemed to me like those players might have bought into that hype just a little bit too much, and, A&M stayed the course. But yeah, I mean, I would argue that Nebraska upset it captured not only the volleyball world's attention, but it seemed like the sports world's attention for a good while, because what was it, the most watched volleyball match ever on ABC? Like, I was in New York when it was going on, and me and Maura, my wife, stopped to watch it. And so, yeah, it was pretty awesome. How can you not have that, at least, like you said, many moments on that run that culminated in that national championship?
Well, yeah,
but that was huge.
The Nebraska win was almost like a, hey, you need to watch us moment, kind of like a warning shot to the entire world. But just 2 days before, they did a crazy thing as well. They pulled off a reverse sweep of the national runner-up from the year prior and got by what was really the first of 4 consecutive Giants in a win over Louisville. That was insane, too. And then you become the first team ever to sweep back-to-back matches in the Final Four. It was just a ridiculous run. And along the way, Jamie Morrison's named the National Coach of the Year, 4 a program record, 4 All-Americans. There's so many different things and highlights that you have to highlight when you talk about Aggie volleyball in 2025.
Absolutely. Now you got 2 pros out of that team, right?
Absolutely.
Logan Lednicki and Afena going to play professional volleyball. So that's really cool to see.
And then you mentioned how great of a fall it was because A&M football, regardless of how the season ended, and we know it leaves a sour taste in the mouths of Aggies everywhere with the loss to Texas and then the first round loss to Miami. But the moments this team provided you along the way, and you're showing the 4th and goal from the 11-yard line pass from Marcel Reed to Nate Burkacher in South Bend, that's got to be perhaps the biggest moment in Aggie football this year, perhaps the last few years because of how things have been going. Mike Elko's got this program in a position that you really didn't expect him to be in just 2 years. 11 victories is a massive progression over 8 the year prior. Don't lose that. Sorry, 9 the year prior, right? They were 9-3 in the regular season and lost. Or am I wrong?
They had 8 wins.
It was 8-4. Sorry, things starting to run together here at the end of the year. But anyways, 11 wins, a massive jump over the year before. And you got wins in South Bend. You had that huge win in Death Valley in which you cleared out Tiger Stadium. The scenes going into the 4th quarter, let alone what it looked like at the end of the 4th quarter, were incredible. Those 15 minutes of game time on ABC, ESPN, whatever it was, with Chris Fowler and Kirk Herbstreit, it was just a commercial for the 12th man in Texas A&M athletics and Texas A&M football under Mike Elko. You can't lose sight of how awesome this football season was. And then you got to consider the fact that they wore a really cool uniform against Florida, the 1975 throwbacks, and then one of the last home games of the year, that comeback against South Carolina, captured your imagination once again, rattling off a 28-0 run in the second half to win the game, to erase the biggest deficit in program history, 27 points. It was just so much fun up until the end. And I think as we get further and further away from Black Friday and then the first round against Miami, I hope that the 12th man will look back on 2025 and realize just how much fun and how successful a football season it was for the Maroon and White. Wasn't what you wanted, right?
Yeah.
Because there's more to go out there and accomplish, and I'm with you. I don't truly believe in moral victories at all, because you had a chance to win an SEC championship. You didn't get to Atlanta. You've still never been there. You haven't won a national championship since 1939. Those are the 2 prizes that you are going into each and every season gunning for. You didn't get it done. But as Mike Elko said before the playoff even began, I don't know if you can judge seasons in boom or bust, championship or failure, because this is still a build. It's just year 2. And the moments provided along the way in 2025 is showing signs of what this team and this organization can become with Mike Elko at the helm, Nick.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the more distance we get from that Miami game, I think if you just, and you were at the game, so was I, if you just took in the pregame, how many different outlets were at that playoff game, the eyes of the college football world were on Kyle Field, and just everything leading up to the game was pretty awesome for me. Like I think again, you said once we get a little bit further away from it and the sting wears off a little bit, people will appreciate that we had a home playoff game. We were in the playoff. It was here at Kyle Field. I think we all expect to be there once again, and it won't be the last one, right? Under Mike Elko, we all expect that to be the case with the trajectory that he has this program going. So that, for me, just personally, just seeing a home playoff game at Kyle Field a few years ago, I think if we would have had this conversation, we'd be like, man, I don't know if we're ever going to get to see that. But we got to see it. Year 2 of Mike Elko is pretty awesome.
And I like the word you used there, trajectory, right? There's some detractors out there that might say, well, I don't know, blah, blah, blah. Give this organization, give this head coach, give this coaching staff, give this recruiting staff the benefit of the doubt, because look what they've done at the high school level and in the portal the last couple of years. And if you listen to anything Billy Liucci's been saying, you can expect them to go big game hunting in the portal when it opens come Friday. That's all I've got to say about football, Nick. Other moments on the year, my top game that I covered all season long would have been that South Carolina comeback at Bluebell Park, the 2 grand slams in the 9th inning, Caden Kent walking it off. But people will forget that Hayden Schott hit a pinch hit grand slam earlier in the ninth.
That was my thought, is like, he hit one too. It doesn't happen without that.
Yeah, that was an insane day. And at that time, right, if you think back on the 2025 Texas A&M baseball season, and they'll be the first to tell you it wasn't good. They didn't achieve any of the goals that they wanted to achieve. They missed the postseason, right? They didn't go to the NCAA tournament. That can't happen again. Mike Early and company, they know that. They're refocused, and they're going to get ready to go here in just a few weeks as 2026 begins on February 13th, I believe. But for that moment, on that day, when that grand slam just stayed fair down the right field line, it felt like they were on a rocket ship trending towards the NCAA tournament after what was a 1-9 start to SEC play for them. That moment, it was like belief was raining through all of College Station. And if you go back and you watch those videos of that Caden Kent grand slam, 1, an insane pimp job by Jeff Kent's kid, and 2, there's a video from behind home plate. You can watch Coach Early run out of the dugout to look and try and keep it fair, Carlton Fisk style. And just the elation that was coming out of the dugout was insane. It was really fun to be a part of. Nick, did you have a favorite game that you covered or went to this season?
I'm looking at the Aggie baseball schedule because you mentioned that after that series, there's like, okay, they're going to the moon. They went to Fayetteville the next weekend, took that series, went to Austin, unfortunately, the next weekend. Don't want to talk about that. Beat LSU here at in College Station, that series, I should say. Then, unfortunately, that Missouri series, that kind of derailed the whole thing. But favorite game that I covered, probably the South Carolina. But I know you're trying to keep it baseball-centric, but I would say South Carolina football game.
No, I'm not trying to keep it any sports-centric. You go where you want to go with it, Nick.
It was weird because, up in the press box, I was like, they could play a perfect half. Like, they could come out here and pitch a shutout and score on every possession. And that's literally what they did outside of the fumble at the very end of the game. Where Ruben threw it backwards, but that probably was the coolest thing to see, just to mount that comeback. And with every play, it seemed like offensively for the Aggies, it was like, oh my gosh, they might do this, and then they pulled it off.
They erased a 27-point deficit, Nick, in less than 20 minutes of game time. That's insane. They scored on 4 consecutive drives, and remember the drive that took the lead was that 99-yard drive. They were pinned down to their 1-yard line. And the defense only allowed 76 yards in the second half combined. It was insane. For as good as the offense was in the second half, you have to tip your cap to the Aggie defense in that South Carolina game, because without them pitching a perfect 30 minutes, your perfect season ends right then and there. But instead, they got to 10-0. It was incredible. Talked about baseball. Got to talk about track and field, right? I feel like we've buried the lead not bringing them up already in this segment. They won the SEC Indoor National Championship and then went on to win the NCAA Championship. Pat Henry's 10th in Aggieland and 37th overall. That day in Eugene, it came down to the final race for Texas A&M, and they got just what they needed, a second-place finish in the 4x4. USC slumped to 8th, gave them just enough points to share the national championship. That was an incredible run. 2 individual national champions on that team in the pole vaulter, Alexander Solovev and Sam Whitmarsh in the 800-meter. That was a really fun watch. Track and field, the way they do it, the way the points come down, it seems like it always comes down to the final race of the program, the 4x400 meter. It's amazing theater year in and year out. And Pat Henry's got a team that insiders believe can challenge once again for the grand prize. That's on my top 5 as well. Got to give a shout out to the softball team. And, Charean mentioned it during her segment. Didn't end the way anybody wanted it to, right? They were a number 1 national seed that didn't get out of their own regional. But just to be the number 1 overall team in the country, a consensus number 1 overall team in the country, shows signs of what Trisha Ford's building over at Davis Diamond. A lot of reasons to be optimistic about Aggie softball coming into 2026. And I assure you, Nick, they're going to use that season and the way it ended in that regional to Liberty as fuel for the next year as they get ready to go come February as well.
Absolutely. We know Trish is a great motivator, so I have zero doubts about that.
There were other big wins on the hardwood, right? A&M upset number 1 Auburn. They unveiled Wade Taylor's jersey in the rafters. Joni Taylor got an upset of a top 15 team as well along the way. They're going to begin conference play later on, actually on New Year's Day later this week. That's a perfect segue because right after this break, we're going to talk some women's basketball as Katy Lee joins us in the Rollo Insurance Studio next on TexAgs Live.
Keep talking.
Welcome back to TexAgs Live, brought to you by David Gardner's Jewelers, Richard Zane inside the Rollo Insurance Studio, joined now by former Texas A&M women's basketball player Katy Lee.
Hello, bestie.
Welcome back to College Station. How were the holidays?
They were good. They were good. We spent a little time in Lubbock, the metropolis. Crazy enough, it is growing at an insane rate. We think College Station is growing. Go back to Lubbock, Texas, and it's a different hemisphere. But we had fun. We went to Shallow Water, visited with my family. My sister and her family came down, so I got to see nephews and niece, and it was just so much fun. What a blessing Christmas is.
I was texting with Logan on Christmas just to make sure both of the Lee kids were on the nice list, because I know for the boy, he always tiptoes, flirts with that line.
He does this. He tiptoes, and then comes back to earth. Mm-hmm. Maybe just us not beating him. Just kidding, but and then gets on the tiptoe side again. Yeah, he's I hate to say it. He looks like Logan, but man, he acts like a Pounds kid. He's all of us made over again. So
problematic.
And then Harper,
Hey, you have your hands full.
Yeah, Harper's a lot. So it's all fun. It's all fun. We wouldn't have it any other way.
Well, Christmas in the rear view. You're back in town, and it's perfect because SEC basketball begins for Joni Taylor and company on New Year's Day. Number 8 Oklahoma comes to town. Yeah. So far, so good for the Ags, right? 7-2 through non-conference play. We haven't seen them in about 10 days at this point. What have you seen from Joni and the crew as they prepare for the SEC gauntlet, and what a gauntlet it's going to be?
Yeah, absolutely. We were just talking that SEC has so many teams ranked. I think 8 ranked in the top.
8 of the 16 teams are ranked, and of that, 3 of them in the top 5. Texas 2, South Carolina 3, LSU 5.
Right.
Wild.
It is, and it's going to continue to be more and more wild as they continue to go through conference, as teams continue to grow and really find their personality of what they look like and how they fit into the fold in SEC play. This preseason for Joni has been, I feel like, very strategic in from her point of view, just because she has a brand new team, and she was really trying to figure out, we know these things about the person, we know these things about the individual player, but what do we know about these young ladies when they're put and they're meshed with people that either they've never played with, and some of them, first time on American soil. And so the lineup, I think, they're still trying to ebb and flow and figure some of that out. We had a few players on rest. A few players didn't see the court. And so it's one of those deals where the lineup right now is still in test mode. Although I think the top 6 are set. I think and the top 6, we know who those are going to be, right? But consistency and continuity through substitution, I think, is kind of the goal during December before you hit that gauntlet of SEC play.
Something we haven't seen from A&M women's hoops over the last few years has been health. And last time out against Prairie View, they had 3 players who didn't suit up.
That's right.
Lauren Ware was on load management. She was fine. She could have gone.
Yep.
Lamaya Hilton and Cheney Spencer were in concussion protocol. Believe they're going to be good to go on, Thursday? Wow, New Year's is already here. So for the first time in a long time, Joni Taylor's got her entire roster for conference play.
Isn't that wild?
Just how important is that, right? Because we've seen this program. They've had talented players over the last few years, but no depth.
Right.
It takes a toll on you when you go through this conference.
Right. And you look at it as both what was going on behind the scenes versus what was happening on the court, and injury-wise, it's the past 2 years having to limp along with 7 players. There were multiple game stretches where you have only 7 or 8 available. That is really hard on a team. Some of that was in preseason, and the majority of that was in conference play. You're talking about going up against one of the best conferences in the country. That is one of those. That's it's almost a sin to talk about, because you just don't want to relive that, right? Mm-hmm. And so you're right. For the first time, you have the ability to hold Lauren, right? You have the ability to say, one of our best players, we need to save your knees. She is in her last round, her last conference play, her last time as a collegiate player. And I I can honestly say I know how she feels. When you're in that last part of your season, of this part of your life, it's so important, one, for her to enjoy it, but for her to be able to give her very best for Texas A&M and for her teammates. And so Joni's ability to be able to hold Lauren and just allow her to just be for a second is so incredibly vital in midway through the season. And you have other players like Fats and Nye that are able to step up and play huge minutes, but get some wonderful experience and that continuity experience in playing together, again, before they see OU.
And they've also been able to really play everybody. They played everybody available last time out against Prairie View. You mentioned Nye and the new players that have come in. She's been incredible. She has absolutely lived up to the billing since transferring from Sacred Heart.
Yeah, and I keep saying this, but Nancy Lieberman top 20 watch list and living into that, right? Like really holding on to that and harnessing that preseason note. She's just a court general. She's just one of those kids that will get on the court and she will, jump your butt and get in your face. But when you're in the locker room and you're on the court, she's going to have your back. And that is the best type of point guard you can have. I mean, I vividly remember hearing the stories of what made, AC great on the men's side when in Logan and their battle on the floor. And I see a lot of that in Nye is like, and again, go back to Aquanisha and the court general she was. And you see those really intense point guards that are able to both hold their own. They may be the shortest, woman on the court, but they're going to jump your butt and tell you where to go and what to do. But you won't take offense to it. They've driven that trust and that sense of self into the team, and that identity just flows through her play. I mean, she's just consistent.
Oh yeah.
The biggest thing in SEC play is she's got to stay out of foul trouble early. I mean, that right there that's just got to be across her chest. Like, keep me out of foul trouble, because that's what will harm Texas A&M the most. Is not injury, but your leader, your point guard going down early, having to sit on a bench. That's the quote unquote death sentence for Texas A&M.
And she shares the ball so well. She's
she
averaging nearly 8 assists per game, 3 double doubles.
Yeah, she was close to a triple double this last game.
She's wild. She's a great player. You talked about that being one of the keys, is Nye staying out of foul trouble in SEC play. Let's talk about other keys. What have you seen so far that gives you optimism going into the conference play?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. I think Fats, she's definitely a smaller forward, but her presence is so big. And so I really like Fats' tenacity. I love the fact that she went and grabbed 19 boards the other night. Like, I don't care who it was against. 19 boards is hard to go grab any night. So I love the fact that she's willing to, get her hands dirty and get in there and fight, even though her height is a little limited. I'm really encouraged to see, again, Lauren Ware being able to take a little break before conference starts. I love the refresh, and I'm encouraged by what that will provide her and her body. I'm excited to get Lamaya back. She's had a little bit of a rocky preseason shooting wise. She's a shooter. For those that don't know, she's shot over 30% for her career beyond the arc. So she's one hell of a shooter. So I think for her, it's just getting her back to consistency beyond the arc and giving her that threat. She's also able and willing to put the ball on the floor, collapse the defense, and she's a great passer. We talked about Nye. I think, Jordan and they call her Bobo, but Celeste Blow. Jordan and Bobo have a really unique opportunity to be kind of in that 5th and 6th man position. They kind of switch spots, in my opinion, about, if one's off, the other one needs to be on. If one's on, the other one has the ability to kind of have a slow start. If they're both on, that is just sheer icing on the cake. But then you got Janae Kent. And I think Janae Kent is kind of that. She'll end up being the glue, in my opinion, beyond the 3 bigs. You have Fats, you have Nye, you have Lauren, that they have to come out and perform, bar none. Like, for us to have a chance, they have to come out and perform. And then you've got, like I said, that kind of 5th and 6th person back here in Bobo and Jordan. But Janae Kent sits right in the middle at that 4th spot. And she's a really important factor to this team. And she's the one that can just have a night that just is, a double-double with high numbers and fills the stat sheet. But if she's off, we've seen her off, and it kind of turns off the stat sheet. And so we need her to be that solid fourth player in the rank of the roster, to come out and just, be consistent throughout conference. And that'll be a huge factor for us.
Katy Lee talking some Texas A&M women's hoops with us here on TexAgs Live. Thursday.
Yeah.
Number 8, Oklahoma. 7 o'clock at Reed Arena. You can catch it on SEC Network Plus. What do you know about the Sooners before they make their way down to Aggie Land for some New Year's Day hoops?
Yeah, you said it. I mean, they're 8 in the country, right? So it's kind of the Oklahoma of old. What I saw when I played, OU was an incredible powerhouse, prior national champion, just a little bit before I played. But Aaliyah Chavez, she came in as the number 1 recruit in the country, chose OU over Texas, South Carolina, a few other teams. And just an incredible young player. She, came out of high school with about a little over 4,700 points in her high school career. You could probably do the math. That's a lot of points a game. And a Lubbock native. So I've been around her career, kind of watched her grow up and seen her blossom. And is just she's just a sheer talent is what she is. And she's going to be hard to contain. That said, she plays a little bit of a mixed combo guard. And so we have a bunch of people that could try and lock her up. But she's got a good team around her, and she distributes the ball well. So it's not just going to be her. You have to be careful about really focusing in on one player. You want to not eliminate, but limit Aaliyah from getting her 30 points and 8 rebounds. But you really want to make sure that the rest of the team, that there's not that open hole that allows someone else to go off. But they're a formidable opponent for sure.
They'll have their opponent.
Yeah.
Or they'll have their hands full.
That's
Excuse me. 7 o'clock on
be
January 1. You got to be there if you can.
That's
I'm
right.
pretty sure you can find this woman on the radio somewhere.
You
right?
can.
Play-by-play color. Katy Lee, thanks so much for taking some time to chat about women's basketball with us, and say howdy to Logan and the kids for us.
I'll give him a hug for you. I know that's what you really want to give him.
Yeah, well, I'm sure he'd give me like a noogie or something like that.
Be a wedgie or something.
It's all love.
Yeah.
Thanks so much. We'll chat with Jason Howell on the other side here on TexAgs Live. Rolling right along here on a Tuesday morning edition of TexAgs Live, brought to you by David Gardner's Jewelers, and we're wasting absolutely no time now as we hop out to the Buppy's Catering and Bartending Hotline. It's time for Recruiting Country, brought to you by American Momentum Bank, and we are joined now by TexAgs senior recruiting analyst Jason Howell. And Jason, I got to tell you, I know we've got so much to talk about. The portal opens Friday. There's All-American games in Orlando and San Antonio coming up. All attention is shifting to the 2027 class. But, dude, I am still so jealous of the text you sent me yesterday and the Christmas gift you gave yourself, that Barry Sanders helmet. Very, very jealous. I'm sitting here hosting on a Monday, and here you are making me green with envy.
You guys were talking about Christmas gifts, and I'm not gonna lie, I've been on a memorabilia kick trying to upgrade my my backdrop here, and really, yeah, it's been a trip down memory lane. Just adding some pieces here and there from role models, idols, guys that watched growing up, and Barry Sanders was definitely one of those I had high on my list, and I came across a mini helmet that, was the right price and had to go on the shelf. So it is. I was super excited to add it to the collection, and got the Pro Set rookie card right there alongside of it. All that stuff, it was. Oh man, I'm still. It's back here, right over my shoulder, down there in the corner. So I'm, gonna try and highlight it as much as possible when I get these on camera appearances.
It's a great addition, and we know Texas A&M's in the market to make a few additions when the portal opens on Friday. See what I did there? A big name went in the portal yesterday. It was reported that Auburn wide receiver Cam Coleman is expected to enter the transfer portal, or at least be available when it opens on Friday. That's a name that's very, very familiar with A&M fans and TexAgs publishers alike, because he was committed to Texas A&M at one time during his high school recruitment.
Yeah, announced on the 4th of July, if I remember correctly. Big 5-star 4th of July, and it was quite the get. When coaching change happened, you could see things start to trend the other way. He decided to stay closer to home. His head coach, Coach Nix, out there at Phoenix City Central, played at Auburn. I think Hugh Freeze definitely made him a high priority over the course, and never stopped recruiting him. And of course, what he's done at Auburn over the last few years has done nothing to diminish his, the promise that he brings to the table. I mean, we're talking about a guy that is gonna. He's still considered a high NFL, potential target. This playmaker, he's a highlight reel waiting to happen, and has been very productive over the first couple years there for the War Eagles out there. But definitely a guy that I look for A&M to be very involved with. When there were, rumors and, as conversation starts to happen, you got the feeling A&M was going to be pretty involved. There are a lot of connections there. He's very familiar with College Station. He's always had a affinity for the Aggie network, what the overall program brings to the table, as well as what can possibly happen on the NIL front there.
So Cam Coleman, a name to watch. There are other names that are going into the portal that you've highlighted as guys A&M could be involved with when things open up, but you also have key needs that A&M needs to address in the portal. Wide receiver probably a little bit further down the list, maybe behind both the offensive and defensive lines. What are you looking for there in the trenches, Jason?
Yeah, I think we're going to see some interior, some definitely some tackle. I think you're going to see them look to address up and down the offensive front. But I think Billy said it right last night. I think he's made no bones about it. Look for A&M to go out looking to go big game hunting, and I think. You talk about receiver. We mentioned Cam Coleman there. I wouldn't expect him to cut themselves short on the offensive line either. You're graduating a lot. You're going to lose a lot of experience, and it's going to be something that you're even with some promising young guys, some guys that are looking to step up. It's something you want to make sure you have a handle on and bring in some guys that can come in and hit the ground running right away.
Portal mania, I should say, begins on January the 2nd. That's Friday. Jason, new dad Brawny, and Cade Drawn will be all over it on TexAgs. It's the perfect time to be a TexAgs Premium subscriber. This is recruiting country. Jason, shifting our attention to the high school guys, there's All-American games coming up, and one's this weekend in Florida, the Under Armour All-American game, and A&M is the most represented program in the entire country with 6, 26, and 27 prospects participating.
Yeah, and I want to say 5 of those are 27 commits. So you're going to see a lot of those guys that are building blocks for that 27 class already showcased in that game. Edge Samu Moala is the 26 signee that'll be on hand. He's going to be teaming up with Caden McCarty on I think it's Team Pearl's offense or defensive front. The teams are Team Roses and Team Pearls out there in Florida, and those guys are arriving today. You're going to see a couple days of practice out there, and then the game itself, I want to say, is going to be played on the original broadcast is going to be on the ESPN YouTube channel. So on January 3rd. But yeah, you got 27 quarterback commit, Jace Johnson out of Valdosta, Georgia, Raylan Henry, and Kamari Dorsey are going to team up for Team Roses on the in the secondary out there, and Jaquan Snell is going to be at safety on Team Pearls. But I want to say you also got several guys to watch, several key targets out there. John Meredith is going to be teaming up with that Raylan Henry, Kamari Dorsey group. You're going to see Brian Swanson, Albert Simeon, Kennedy Brown as offensive line targets that are going to be out that way. Jaden Bryant, a big-time defensive end, out of South Carolina, that took a couple visits to Texas A&M, will be out there. So there's going to be several guys that A&M fans are going to want to keep an eye out for during that game, and it's not necessarily sometimes the game doesn't. Guys don't find their stride or whatever, but it's always fun to watch those guys get after it, fly around. You can see some traits, and you can see who steps up in the spotlight. And I got a feeling some of those A&M targets and commitments are gonna shine pretty bright.
Under Armour All-American game is Saturday, January the 3rd. The Navy All-American Bowl's coming up on January the 10th, so a week later. And between then, you've got move-in day. All but one of A&M's 2026 signees are going to be on campus and living in College Station come Wednesday, January 7th. The only one's Evan Jacobson, the tight end. Jason and the crew will have coverage of all of that. Brother, the time goes by way too fast. We don't have any more time with you, Jason. Yeah. And I just want to leave you with this, okay? If the Barry Sanders helmet goes missing, it wasn't me, okay?
You will definitely be suspect number one.
Of course. Jason, thank you for taking the time to join us. Hope you guys had a very Merry Christmas, and we look forward to chatting with you in 2026. Hope you and yours have a very, very happy New Year, sir.
Always, you too.
That's Jason Howell, TexAgs senior recruiting analyst, joining us for Recruiting Country, brought to you by American Momentum Bank. On the other side of this break, we'll close down the 9 o'clock hour as we get ready for Billy Liucci to join the program at 10 o'clock a.m.
All right, we're talking about Burlebo, the heart of Texas, more than an outdoor lifestyle brand. It's products created with you in mind. Currently, I'm wearing the performance polo, the Texas maroon and gray. If you look into it, you've got the state of Texas in gray, and you also got it in maroon. It's one of their highest, most popular sales that they have there. It is really nice. Comfort and versatility. You can wear it in any situation. Quick drying, fits the size. But Burlebo, they're rooted in tradition, fueled by passion for the outdoors. Designs high-quality apparel that works just as hard as you do. So whether you're hitting a workout, enjoying a day of fishing, or cheering on your favorite college team, their gear is made for the athlete, the outdoorsman, and the everyday adventure. And it's really nice. I wore this one to church the other day. People talked about it. Really, my kids were like, "Hey, Dad, you look pretty good today." From athletic shorts to your favorite go-to tees and performance hoodies, they have everything you want. Check out burlebo.com and find your new favorite gear. It's Burlebo for the athlete, for the outdoors, and for the family.
Just about a minute left here in the 9 o'clock hour on this Tuesday edition of TexAgs Live. Richard Zane inside the Rollo Insurance Studio. Just a reminder that this is our final live show of 2025. Best ofs running Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. David Nuno back in the host chair Monday, January 5th. Appreciate you tuning in to the show however you consume it, whether that be on the radio waves locally, streaming on TexAgs.com or our YouTube page or on the CW. Appreciate everybody. Coming up in the 10 o'clock hour, we've got TexAgs co-owner and Billy Liucci on a mobile. And then at about 10:30, we'll chat with Jamie Morrison. Nick, watch this. I'm going to hit this 56 even outro just perfectly. We'll see you on the other side. Last hour of this Tuesday edition of TexAgs Live, brought to you by David Gardner's Jewelers. Richard Zane inside the Rollo Insurance Studio, and we are going to go out to the Buppy's Catering and Bartending Hotline to chat with TexAgs co-owner and executive editor Billy Liucci. Good morning, Babaloo. How are we?
Zaner, how are you, buddy?
I'm doing well. I feel much more relaxed, much more confident on this show. Mostly because you're not here messing with me, and I can talk to you via the phone and not have to worry about having anything thrown at me today.
Wait until that delay starts hitting, and I start getting super aggravated, and it's not even your fault.
Well, everything is my fault. I have learned that over the years working for you.
Why does it already flow better, like the delay whole thing, when you're on versus Nuno? This is weird. I don't understand.
It's got to be a question for Nick and the engineers in the back. That's something that's above my pay grade and above my knowledge level.
I think it has to do more with Nuno not being able to talk and listen simultaneously, or like he's always nose deep in that computer while you're talking. I think that has more to do with it. And when someone's sitting by him, he has to, there's actual eye contact. Yeah. I think he struggles on the phone.
Well, you know me, I'm never nose deep in my computer. I listen to everything you say all the time. I'm never working while talking.
Exactly.
All right, Billy. The news yesterday, a couple pieces. Which one do you want to start with? Would you like to start with Mackenzie Mbako being out for the year, or Bryce Anderson entering the transfer portal? I'll let you decide.
Yeah, Mbako. Let's start with Mbako. It's a devastating blow for him, for Bucky, and Aggie basketball. Like we talked about yesterday, just how he was doing. The team was a disastrous final minute. SMU we're sitting here on a 9-game winning streak right now. Like, things were starting. I'm not saying they had arrived, but they were certainly starting to trend decidedly upward for the Aggies, and you could kind of see what the whole thing could look like. And Bucky talked about all the flexibility that Mackenzie on the floor could bring, and what it allowed you to do with your lineup, and kind of get out of some, tougher matchups for you personnel-wise that they were kind of having to do until he got back, particularly with Aggie. So, look, they'll have to adjust and adapt. I think Bucky will. They may have to be a much smaller team moving forward. It's never optimal, and I don't think anything about a year one is optimal. No matter how highly regarded players are, you're throwing them all together, literally, an entire roster just cobbled together. So there were going to be growing pains anyway, but that foot injury for Mackenzie, it not only now is going to cost him the year, but, it cost him pretty much all of camp and the early part of the season. Then he came in, he was trying to assimilate, acclimate, adjust, and it was a tough go. So I don't know. Now we'll see about next year, because I think, get that foot right, and I think there's an opportunity for him to actually return, just from a standpoint of what does this do, in terms of his draft stock. Does he come back and up it by actually having a healthy year? Because he kind of flashed what he could do. And then also, does he want to be fully healthy and, 110% for the draft process and stuff? So there could be an opportunity, I think, a very realistic opportunity to maybe get him again next year. But that's TBD. And for right now, that's a pretty crushing blow for the team. But what are you going to do?
Absolutely.
I mean, injuries happen. They happen. They happen everywhere to everyone. I mean, Buzz went through it up there at Maryland, right? As soon as Pharrell Payne went down with that injury, and I haven't followed enough to see if is he back yet?
Yes, he was back, actually, because I know exactly which one you're talking about, the one where he did the splits and kind of hit his head on the hardwood.
Where everybody on Twitter said it was a career ender. And
he was back within a couple weeks.
Overreact, and oh my God, this is devastating. But those injuries happen during the course of a year to everyone, and season-ending ones happen. It's You see it more so in football, but it certainly happens over, grind of a 40-game basketball season as well. So it just sucks that in year one, it just felt like that was such a big addition, and you got him just enough to kind of see how good he could be, but just never really got it. It's kind of a lost year for him, which affects, again, I think it's a significant effect on what we've seen in terms of this team's development. But now, Bucky's a good coach, and he'll adjust and adapt, and it'll be interesting to see how he does it.
Expect the adjusting and adapting to be a much smaller lineup with 4 guards surrounding Rashawn Agee, who has been fantastic so far as an Aggie. Another double-double last night against Prairie View, 19 points, 13 boards. And then it seems as though they're going to live and die by the three-pointer, more so now without their most talented player in Mackenzie Mbako.
Again, you have to look at what's going to be your strong suit and what can cause matchup problems versus matchup disadvantages. And I know being small has its own disadvantages, but I think it's just going to play to what this team does well. You got to find okay, this is what we can do well. So that's your best shot at winning, rather than kind of come off of that and try to fit into a box that you don't fit into. So yeah, I think you'll see them kind of live and die on the perimeter and obviously continue to pressure.
We'll see what it looks like for the maroon and white when conference play begins. It's already here, Billy, on Saturday, January 3rd against LSU at Reed Arena. Bucky McMillan and company will take on the Bayou Bengals. All right, now we're going to shift our gears and talk about Bryce Anderson, the latest portal entry for Texas A&M. It's now 7 guys from the 2025 roster who have announced their intentions to enter the portal when it opens on January 2nd, Bill. Your initial reaction to the safety from Beaumont going into the portal?
I didn't have much of a reaction. I mean, not as a slight on Bryce. Here's a guy, he had that scary injury against Notre Dame and didn't really play since. Basically, I think, was there one game he came back in?
He played in Florida, and he also played against Miami, according to his stats on 12th man.
Well, he can play. He can. That game didn't count against eligibility. So it just felt like, I know there was a thought, and I think he actually thinks about coming back another year here at A&M, but obviously we're saving that red shirt in terms of only playing in those 4 games. But, here's what I keep trying to tell people. Bryce Anderson was a productive player at A&M. He was a starter for some of that time. But it's like a Cam Dewberry from last year, similar situation. Like there's a certain number of guys that you're going to do everything you have to do to keep. And then there's another group of players that are, maybe they might start, maybe they might not. You want them, but if there's going to be other programs that offer them more, guys like Theo, guys like Rylan, guys like Bryce, this is what every college coach and staff have to deal with right now. There are going to be other programs that have a more dire need at a position or don't know as much about the player as you do. And so they put a higher value on them. And for every player, there's like, whether it's at A&M or Alabama or Texas or Florida, whatever, there are a bunch of teams that are just going to put a higher value because of need and necessity, and also a little more of the unknown that you've got. And those guys, a lot of times, are going to have very little eligibility left, and they're going to say, I'm going to get over there because it's a clearer path, and I can get paid more. I feel more comfortable about starting, because remember, these kids also know they're a situation at A&M or whatever school they're at intimately, much more so than they know what they're going into. So they know, man, there's Dalton Brooks, there's Ratcliffe, there's some of these younger guys, so they look around, they don't know as much as these other rosters. And the other programs don't know as much about the player, and they also know what they need, and some of them need them. There's always some other program that needs a certain position depth more than you do. So I think that's where you're going to see a lot of this, what I call middle of the roster type attrition. I mean, you're going to see a lot more of that this year than ever before, not just for A&M. I was doing the podcast last night. You were recording it. I was doing it with Amanda. Texas is feeling the same thing. Like, they would love to keep Trey Wisner, but their running game, other than when they played A&M, wasn't good this year. And they're looking for a little bit of an upgrade there at that position, and they'd love to keep him and add, like, say, a Jaden Ball or some, star proven productive college back. But here's a guy like Wisner who said, I led the SEC in rushing a year prior, or leading returning rusher, whatever it was, and he's got a high number. And it's probably too high to pay for a guy that, in your mind, you'd love to be your number 2 back. So, hence, here goes a guy into the portal. And look, I'd love to be able to sit there and say, man, they've got some kind of culture issues going on there. Why would a guy that good leave? But that's not true. Like, that, it makes perfect sense why that marriage didn't work out. And in the case of Bryce, it makes a lot of sense too when you look at safety depth. And again, like I said, there's going to be, look at A&M last year in Humphrey, right? He started 10 games at Georgia last year, lost his job, wasn't going to get it back. But I guarantee you Georgia would have loved to have had a backup corner that's a veteran within their system with all of that experience. You just can't keep guys like that in today's day and age because it doesn't make financial sense, and it also doesn't make sense in a lot of instances for the player because they're just saying, he's looking at A&M going, man, I could go over there and start. I could go over there, and he didn't. He might this year coming up. So that's where it's at. No, so I'm just telling people there'll be more guys like Bryce, Theo, and Rylan that are kind of a little more unexpected that you don't downplay and say, well, it's no big deal. It's not a loss. It is a loss, but it's a loss that you can kind of just, the good coaching staffs will just kind of swap those guys out. And if you're really good, you can swap them out for a little bit less money than you would have had to pay to keep them and still field an improved unit. They had to make those decisions last year with Dewberry and TJ Shanahan, and they made those decisions on who they wanted to keep up front. And you let those guys go. And I think Dewberry had a really good experience. He's still going this year at Bama. I don't know about Shanahan if his was as good, but those guys take their chances and bet on themselves like Overton did. So it works both ways. I think the key thing is not about, when in your mind you're thinking of middle of the roster guys, right? It's not about who's leaving. You got to look at this portal when it's done and see what you've got. And I wrote this last night. I think that Elko and A&M are going to go into the portal with the goal of signing a lot more Casey Concepcion types than they did a year ago. And I know Craver worked out, but Craver was one of the better. Craver and Borkature were two of the better bang for your buck guys in the portal. Yedim was a tremendous pickup. But I think this year you'll see them go after more Casey Concepcion types. In other words, guys that are going to come at a pretty penny, but are almost like lay down difference maker, impact type players. Like there's 0.0 question. We just went into the market and we acquired a game-changing talent. And there's zero doubt that we did that. So that's why when you see Cam Coleman, hell yeah, A&M's going to go after him. I saw somebody today on the board ask the board, whatever they were saying, is he worth it? Yeah. Would you not have paid double this year for Casey Concepcion?
Absolutely.
And and saying trust the head coach it's not as simple as that. Trust the head coach. I see posters say this all the time, and there's truth to it. You can't trust the head coach every time on every decision, just assume they're right, because most of them end up getting fired at the end of the day, and they're all flawed, just like anyone is in their work. So you don't just blindly trust the coach. But I do think Mike Oko has proven that he knows how to operate in the portal, and he's also proven, I think people know him enough to know, that if they change their approach a little bit this year, it's because they put a ton of thought into it, and they've got a couple of years of evidence. And so I think you're going to see that. I'm just telling you right now. I've been telling people, other people will jump on this. I've noticed they've started to. It's what happens, as you know, with me and with us in this business. They're going to start jumping on this, but you're going to see the Aggies go after a handful of those Concepcion types this year. I'm not talking about receiver. I'm talking about the O-line version. I'm talking about the DN version, the D-tackle, the pass rusher. Corner probably. You can name the position, but you're going to see them attack that portal and look for impact guys, like day one impact, first, second round NFL type players. And yeah, that's not going to be cheap, but they know what they've got, and they know what fits, and they know how to construct it around the roster. So if they go get a Cam Coleman, if they're able to pull him, they know exactly what that number does to what they're trying to do. So don't buy into the BS. Hold on a second. Zane, we're letting Griffin back into the house.
Oh, Mr. Miffin's coming back inside. The G
Do
Unit.
what?
Billy Liucci with us on TexAgs Live on the Puppy's Catering and Bartending Hotline, letting his dog inside.
There you go. So anyway, we're walking before we go up to the Cotton Bowl that we should be in. But anyway, my point of all that is to say they're going to go big game hunting. They know how the numbers fit. They know what's too rich for their blood versus what's not. But if you go this approach, which I think again, we were talking about this on the pod yesterday on the moving goalposts, and I've been following. You always follow what Texas is doing. It has a direct impact on A&M, good, bad, or, that's not indifferent. It has a direct effect. They seem to be doing the same thing. The middle of your roster, there are exit meetings, right, at the end of every year. And a lot of players at places around the SEC, you look at LSU and all these linemen going into the portal, those dudes can play. Not all of them. They can play, and the ones that can't play, it might be that they can't play yet because they had to play some of the young guys. But you're going to sit down, and these coaches are going to say, hey, here's your number. And for some kids, it's going to be not any different than it was the year before, or it's going to be the same, and maybe just the incentives change, and the agents aren't going to like that. There are going to be players across college football that the more coaching staff knows about them, their NIL number for the following year is going to be less than it was the year before. And those guys are really likely to leave. So these decisions are being made everywhere, and it's happening. I'm just telling you, it's happening a lot with the middle of the roster. And what A&M will do is for these middle of the roster guys that leave, you're going to see them replaced by, middle of the roster guys at other Power 5 schools, other Power 4, other successful programs, and there's going to be a backstory why this guy didn't play as much. Here's what, and that's your middle of the roster. And in a perfect world, if you're a college football coach, you replace that middle with equal level players. Dream world better, but you replace that middle and you replace it for less money, and that money goes towards the top. That top quarter of your roster. And that's what A&M, and you're seeing it in Texas right now. You're certainly going to see it with new coaches around college football, but that's what the these guys are trying to do. Think Ohio State when they go out and get, they get Caleb Downs and I always forget our guy's name, the running back from Ole Miss.
Quinshon Judkins.
They go get Quinshon Judkins, Caleb Downs, and then they need a quarterback, and they go get Will Howard. It's going to be more stuff like that, and I think A&M saw that this year with Concepcion and Craver. And Elko will never abandon the idea and the concept, because I know for a fact from talking to him, he loves the idea of getting young portal players that he can develop in the system and under Tommy Moffitt. And those guys are, you look at the program right now, Des Ricks and Cassius Howell are like the two primary examples of that. But you can name like Armaje Reed Adams. You can go into Craver is going to be one of those type guys. You can look at Will Lee had a couple of years. Like Ratcliffe is going to have 3. Like that's what he would love to do. But you're also going to see some Casey Concepcion types. And honestly, people keep asking me positionally. I'll just say this. Name a position, and A&M's probably active portal at that position. Now, if there's a position that you have to kind of load up on, I would say it might be to find a couple of tight ends. The Theo thing might have taken that number from 1 to 2. And it's obviously the offensive line. And I would say certainly multiple defensive linemen too. So I would just say line of scrimmage and tight end are like heavy positions. And by heavy at tight end, I think that's 2. But heavy positions in terms of absolute need, potential starters. And then the rest of it's kind of scattered. Could see running back. I think you should. Certainly going to see them go all in to try to get an elite receiver. Cam Coleman's not the only one out there, but certainly his name jumps to the top of the list. Linebacker, corner, like I said. So you're going to see them continue to look to kind of that'll be more scattered, but line of scrimmage will be the primary push in this portal. I think line of scrimmage and an impact wideout.
Plenty to keep an eye on as the calendar flips to 2026. Billy, thanks so much. Enjoy your trip to DFW, and more importantly, I hope Griffin enjoys his walk here in a couple minutes.
No, we were taking it the whole time we were talking.
What? That's incredible. You can multitask? I didn't know you were even capable of doing that.
You're just lucky there wasn't like some kind of squirrel attack or him going after a rabbit while I had him on the leash and like phone drops. Who knows what could have happened. But yeah, that was the walk. That was it. That's
incredible. 2 birds, 1 stone. Billy Liucci,
multitasker.
Right,
well, don't overdo it. Don't overdo it. You've had a good segment. Just let it wrap up. Don't you know what I'm saying? You're like George Costanza when he makes a good joke. He's like, I'm out of here, and he just leaves, never to be seen again.
All right, so I should George Costanza more often. That's what you're saying.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, thanks so much, Billy. We'll chat to you in the new year.
All right. See you, Zipper.
That's Billy Liucci on the Buppy's Catering and Bartending Hotline. Nick, I didn't know I was the one with the problem not wrapping things up. That's it for us here on this segment. Coming up at the bottom half of the hour, we're going to chat with Jamie Morrison. Don't go anywhere. This is TexAgs Live.
All right, guys, let's talk about some new partners. Aggieland Hydration and Injectables. They're Aggie owned and operated. They are an mobile IV hydration company that was founded back in 2024. I met with Sheldon and Danny over the last week, and they're awesome people. They really know what they're doing. They're proud to serve Bryan College Station with awesome services like IV hydration, Botox, and even some weight loss options. Whether you're looking for a quick boost of hydration or dehydration preventative, they can tailor an IV cocktail specific to your needs. And on a busy weekend, I know some of you guys might be partying a little bit too much. If that's the case, An IV can be one of the easiest ways to ensure you're receiving all those necessary vitamins and minerals to make you feel better. Their overall mission is to bring a more personalized and accessible wellness option to the broader range of clientele here in the Bryan College Station and Brazos Valley area. To book an appointment or inquire about it, just call them up or text them. 979-217-1561. Again, it's Aggieland Hydration and Injectables. Check them out. It's our friends at Aggieland Hydration and Injectables.
Very short segment here on TexAgs Live as head coach Jamie Morrison's already in the building. Just want to remind you that now is the perfect time to become a TexAgs Premium subscriber if you aren't already. The transfer portal, we've said it like 1,000 times on this episode alone. It opens on Friday, January 2nd. Our recruiting team's going to be all over it. The transfer portal tracker thread is already up and running. You don't want to miss out. TexAgs.com/subscribe if you haven't already. Elsewhere on TexAgs today, you can expect that column from Olin Buchanan, his 7 wonders, things he's wondering about Texas A&M football as the Aggies enter the offseason. And also we'll have some recruiting content for you as well. So you don't want to miss out. TexAgs.com for all of that content throughout the day as we get ready to ring in 2026 with all of you here in just a moment. All right, Jamie Morrison. I see him in that little screen right behind Nick. We're going to chat some Texas A&M volleyball here on the other side, transfer portal additions, incoming freshmen, and oh yeah, 2 Aggie legends are about to begin their professional volleyball careers. All that and more right here on TexAgs.com in just a couple of moments. sitting down with a national champion. Does it get old hearing that?
Yeah,
I imagine it does.
It reminds you. Like, it's one of those things where, and again, like, I remember going to the Olympics and they always feel a little surreal, like it was somebody else's life that you lived. And it's a little bit the same of kind of feels like it was somebody else's adventure that they went on, but it just gets a nice little subtle reminder.
Just have to keep pinching yourself.
Yeah,
it is
just a little
indeed
bit.
real. He's Jamie Morrison, Texas A&M volleyball coach, joining us inside the Rollo Insurance Studio. Been able to take a breath? Well rested? Good Christmas? How has the last week been for you since we last chatted?
Yeah, it's good. I always give you guys the human side of, I don't know, coaching and what happens behind the scenes, but just we work hard, and usually every single season my body shuts down. And last season I was actually spared, but this season the flu caught up with me, and it was going around our team a little bit during the Final Four. And it got me, and I was out for the count for 2 days. So, yeah, I got some rest. It wasn't exactly intended, but I was in bed for a couple days.
Got some rest. He's back. He's healthy. He's on the mend, and he's still busy. You've been extremely busy, and I want to get to your transfer portal additions in a moment, but you posted a couple times about how proud of a coach you are because Logan Lednicki and Afena Kosakpala are going to play professional volleyball in League One.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Oh, it is awesome. And like when I took the job, it was really a few different things. One, I felt like I had a masterpiece left inside of me, and here we are. And then another one was to build a pathway for our athletes to go play professionally and live the life that I lived of being able to travel, whether it be internationally and play overseas, or again, they're lucky and blessed to have these opportunities in the United States. So for Logan and Afena to go to Love and be able to have that experience right away, and they're not going to be the last ones. Let me just say that too. Awesome. You're going to see some others that are going to play professionally here in the near future, but I think for anybody that wants, I don't know, to have a place that you can build a pathway to that, we really want to do that. We want to trade in a way. We want to, I don't know, operate simply as way we use WhatsApp for communication simply because that's what the international volleyball world uses. So I'm proud of them, and I'm excited. And they asked me to come down and do first serve at a match, and all of a sudden it is a match where they're playing each other. I'm like, absolutely. I get to go watch those two go after each other. So, which is also weird. It seems really weird seeing them in any color than maroon. I wrote them just when I saw their first pictures and uniforms, and it looks strange.
So more Aggies going to go play professionally. Nice little foreshadowing there. And then you talk about them getting to play professionally in the United States. For Logan, she's going to play in her hometown, Houston. And then UT's first serve. Is that going to be January 8th when Salt Lake and Houston are playing each other in Cyprus?
Yeah, I think we're going to get as much of our team probably down there as we can, as much as our staff, and go see those two go head-to-head. And I think they want to do a little celebration of kind of what we accomplished as well. So if anybody, and I'm just going to encourage, I'll probably do this on social media later on today because it's been something I've been meaning to do. But one of the other reasons I came here was to get the 12th man to fall in love with volleyball, which I think is happening right now. But I would love that to go beyond just our team. So just go give those two teams, especially a follow, Salt Lake and Houston, with love. And follow along, and move their location a little closer to Aggie land. So if you can head down and go be a part of some of those matches and increased attendance, it'll help the overall sport, which is huge to me. So please do it.
So Salt Lake and Houston are going to play each other on Thursday, January 8th. First serve, 7 p.m. at the Barry Center in Cyprus. Going to be really weird to see them on opposite sides of the net, but it's going to be really cool to see, and we're going to try and promote that as much as possible.
Cool.
Get as many Aggies down to that match as we possibly can. Talking about getting as many Aggies as you possibly can, you've made 3 new A&M additions since we last chatted, 3 portal ads, and you told me off air that the work had been done while you were on the NCAA tournament run, which is mind-blowing to me that you can be so successful in both on-court stuff and retooling for next season.
And I got to give credit, Lindsey Walton, and my whole staff. We spent our off days kind of making sure that people felt welcome when they did come and hang out. But yeah, the portal window needs to change, and I think that'll happen. It'll happen in football. I think it'll happen in our sport soon, where you can take care of one thing and then go take care of another thing. But that is, I don't know, the game that we were put in front of us, and the rules that were put in front of us. So. But yeah, no, I think 3 amazing human beings, and I'm going to keep saying this, and it's not just lip service. It's really kind of the number one thing that we look for is good people that have some athletic abilities, and we believe in our ability to train people to go win national championships. And again, it's weird that we said that before as, like, I don't know, something that we thought could happen, and now it's something that actually did happen. But 3 amazing human beings, good athletes. They're going to be amazing additions to what we're doing.
Got Kaya Castle, a middle blocker from Ohio State, Natalie Ring, an All-American outside hitter from Marquette, and Eliza Sharp, a Mountain West Freshman of the Year, middle blocker from Boise State. What do those three bring to the court in addition to being amazing human beings inside the program?
I'll go Kaya and Eliza. I think one of the things we look for, and you saw it with the two middles that just graduated, is just the ability to move side to side from a blocking standpoint. And blocking's huge to me. I think if you look at us, then the reason why we won a national championship is a balance of the two. And I said it, I remember being on the air here and talking about our football team and some of the similarities of just we've had different ways to win. And I think if you look at, the semifinal and the semifinal, we had to go out and hit like 360 in order to win that match. And we did it offensively. In the final, we held a really good Kentucky team to 142 or something like that. So we want to be able to win in multiple ways, but that blocking piece is huge. I think with them, one of the differences you're going to see is they're both really good off one leg. With Fenna and Morgan, we had two middles that really good off two legs, and we're going to kind of see the opposite now of two middles that can go behind off one leg. So our offense will probably change a little bit going into the future, and you got to build around kind of the people that you have. But we're excited to kind of have that dynamic with those two that are coming in. And then Natalie, I'm just going to God-given arm, and that's one of the things that we look for as part of our offense is to create space and attack it, and you got to have an arm to go do it. So that's a piece of it. And then just she wrote me on Christmas Day that she was in the gym passing. So she's hungry to learn. She's got 1 year, and I think one of the things she's wanted to be in the best place where she could be set up to go play professionally next year, and she's hungry to go do that. So I think people, again, from a volleyball standpoint and from a human being standpoint, they're going to love the three of them.
So you've got a couple players who are coming in with a lot of eligibility remaining in Kaya and Eliza. So how do you go about selling your path of development to players in the portal? Because you've got fruits that you can show players like Afina and so many others.
I think it's easy now. I mean, I talk a lot about, Logan, for example, of when I first got here. She said she wanted to go play on the national team. And I was like, all right, here's the steps we need to take over the 3 years. And we did it in 2 instead of 3. So we're a little bit more efficient in teaching than even I think we thought we were capable of. And I think you kind of have proof now, whereas before it was really selling a vision. And we were really good at selling it, apparently, because people have bought into it and believed in it before we went and did what we did. And now to have the backup of it, it's just, you can double down on a little bit of saying, hey, we're really good at this, but no, we're really good. Here's the proof in it. So I think it's a big piece of why people want to come here now. And I think we can develop. We really care about the human beings that are part of our program. And I've said this, I think, the last time I was on, one of the coolest things for me is we had 3 people that transferred over the last couple of years, and all 3 of them were at the Final Four cheering us on. And I don't think that happens in a lot of places. So I think we care about the people that are here, and we're going to win. I think I say that all the time. I had the trophy here last time. I was pointing to it. I was like, this is a byproduct of all these other things. And this is just to everybody. If I'm here for 20 years and I win 5 of those, I'm one of the most successful coaches in the world. You can't do it every single year. So that can't be the litmus test of a successful season or a non-successful. And we're going to strive for those every single year. But those other things have to be the things we stay true to in order to go get that. So I think people are seeing that we're doing this for the right reasons, and we're putting people where they want to go, and we're caring about them in the process.
So it's 3 portal additions so far. What's next? Are we done? Because I think there's a common misconception that with so many players and so many veterans leaving that you have to rebuild and retool through the portal, but you don't, because your 26 class is so highly rated and 5 really talented incoming freshmen joining the program as early as next month, right?
A week and a half, I think.
Wow.
I don't know. We have space for 2. We're probably done or close to. I'm not looking to necessarily fill up that roster with transfers every single time. We really want to be about development. And if people want to be here and they're good enough to be here, we're going to take them. But we're not necessarily going to go seek out, filling up a roster of 18 every single year. So. And like you said, just the classes that we have coming in, not just the 26 class, but the 25 class that's been sitting and waiting. There's a lot of talent that's in this program right now, kind of from the ground up, and then people that want to be here for the right reasons in terms of transfers that are coming in. So right now, I'm really excited about what we have going forward and getting to, it's interesting because you know the season, you're like, I'm exhausted, and then you get away from them for a week. You're like, I kind of miss our girls. And I've been talking to a few of them over the last couple of days. They're like, I can't wait to get back. I'm like, enjoy your time. But then we're going to get 3 or 4 days from right now, and I'm going to say I can't wait to get back into the gym and get going. So we get to do that in about 2 weeks.
We got to see a little bit of that freshman class, right? Addie Applegate was a consistent producer for you down the stretch. You also saw names like Megan Fitch, Tara Morris. They played a little bit during the postseason as well. But Those names combined with the incoming class, what are some of those names that the 12th man needs to be on the lookout for as they're going to be asked to step up and play bigger roles as we move forward?
You know I hate throwing out single names out there.
I know. You can go down the entire
No,
list.
it's all. I really, this is what I truly believe. Talent is random. And you want to put a lot of really good people that are really athletic around your program so that, I don't know, like, things can rise, and that will happen. And it's happened over and over again. And I think when we first got here, like, and again, everyone, I don't know, looks at the product of these people leaving to go play professionally. But when I first got here, like, I could use Fenna as an example. Like, she's probably 50% better than, like, during the process of the 3 years. And that's a testament to her and the hard work put in that kind of caused her to get to where she's at right now. So I think there's that piece of it. And I will say this, just in terms of things to watch if anybody's interested. I actually don't know exactly what the date or time is, but the Under Armour All-American game is coming up, I think, on the 31st, 30th, something like that. Gabby Rodriguez, our incoming libero, is playing in that. So if you guys want a sneak peek of seeing her, and again, you're a little bored and you have the volleyball itch, go ahead and tune into that, and I'll let you guys know the dates on that so you can post it out to people. But that is one thing that's coming up if people want to watch one of our incoming freshmen.
Gabby Rodriguez, the number 2 rated libero by Prep VB in the 2026 class. So might be worth the watch, huh?
Pretty good. Yeah.
Let's go through the other 4 names, right? We already mentioned Gabby Rodriguez. Because I know you don't want to go individual names.
You can go through the names.
Let's go through the entire class.
You're good. Go through the class. We're allowed to talk about them now. It's nice.
Yes, defensive specialist, Jenna Tedford, a top 15 player and a top 25 defensive specialist nationally.
Yeah, no, I mean, she won a national championship with her Houston Skyline team. She's a leader. I think it's one of the things. Her high school team went to the state playoffs. And I just think the 3 littles that we're going to have might be the best core in the country. And if you look at what Aggie did during that tournament run, I just texted her last night, but she was something like 70% good pass. And we're adding these other 2 into the mix. We're going to be able to ball control for a long time to come.
And then outside hitter Sarah Bauka, the top 100 recruit as well.
Sarah, dynamic athlete. She jumps really well. She's got good ball control. She's going to stabilize in kind of a bunch of different areas. And just so that, I don't know, she came to camp and we're like, man, is she going to be physical enough? She went down there and she stuffed Logan 3 times in a row. We're like, well, I guess we can check that box off. So, she's going to add to what we're doing.
Only one opposite on your roster right now in Taryn Morris. So incoming freshman opposite Brooke Lacewell.
Yeah. And I said, like, arms are important to us. Just a really, really good arm. And I think the last year she played, and actually there's a service, I think, for Ping coming up soon, but a club coach that I think added a lot to, our game. And I'll say this on the air, we lost him this year to cancer. And I think he added a lot to her game and just the ability to play it all the way around. But again, the arm is the thing that I think will stand out to the 12th man.
And then rounding out the class, a middle blocker, and I apologize if I mess up the pronunciation.
Let's see if you can do it.
Luefe Adelje.
Luefe Adelje.
Okay. Anywhere close.
Yeah. You call her Lou.
I set myself up
you can
for
go
failure.
with Lou.
I will go with Lou from now on. Lou.
Extremely long, smooth athlete. And player of the year in the state of Oklahoma. But won, I think, 3 out of 4 state championships while she was up there. But just younger for her class. So I think she's still coming into her body a little bit too, but extremely athletic, really good off one leg. And again, we're going to see a different kind of, variety of middle kind of coming through Aggie land here. But really good blocker, moves well side to side. Again, you're going to see some common themes there in terms of what we're looking for in the athletes that we bring in, but she's going to be a difference maker.
Lou, so sorry again for the mispronunciation. Coach, that's your 26 class. It's going to be exciting. You're back in the gym in a couple of weeks.
It is.
What's the next couple of weeks look like for you, both as a coach and as dad and husband?
Yeah, I think it's recover, be around family.
Awesome.
And again, like we talk a lot on here about the human side of what we do. It's really hard. And you take time away from your family and you got to give it back at times. So right now, that's probably the time for me to be at home, be present as much as I can, reflect. I don't know how many kids we have listening to TexAgs, but if I was thinking back to, and I talked to our team at the end about lessons learned, we talked a lot during this tournament about how you handle hard. Mm-hmm. And we talked a lot about every round that you go. And if you want to do anything in life, the further you go in it, you're basically signing up for more time under tension, more hard. And I thought that was true, especially the first 4 rounds of this tournament. We talked about it. Just Campbell, we're going to get 10 points, and then TC, we're going to get 20. And then we get on, obviously, into a lot of hard against Louisville. We just rewatched that game at home last night with my family. of getting down 0-2 and figuring out how to win in 5. And then I felt like every single second of that Nebraska match was hard. And I thought we did a really good job of handling it. And then I just said, like, we had the flu going through our team during the Final Four, and Maddie was playing probably at about 80%. And I know she still played really well. And we just talked about it the entire time. And I think it became a piece of kind of who we are. And I don't know, addition to why not us, it was like, hey, we're going to be the best at handling hard the entire time. And I think that helps you win championships. And then the power of, I don't know, work. Yep. And it's not, again, I talked about Afena and kind of where she was when we got here, and just all of those little things that we did and learned and made skills a piece of us was really, really important. And then the other one we talked a lot about, and it just is going to be a piece of our team for time to come, is just the ability to play as yourself. And then the thing that I learned during this tournament, the ability to play with joy is almost a weapon. And if other people are nervous and scared and you're out there having fun and enjoying what you're doing, like they're looking across the net being like, why are they having fun? Like, I'm scared right now. And all of a sudden it becomes this thing that builds on itself. So I think it's also just reflect a little bit more. I've been thinking about some different ways to train and kind of get going here. So,
well, Coach, thanks so much. We'll let you get back to being president.
My
We
pleasure.
appreciate you taking a few moments out of your day
Yeah.
and bringing the studio audience along with you. So
My pleasure.
Happy
Always a
New
pleasure.
Year to you and yours, and we'll chat with you in 2026.
Happy New Year.
I will close out this edition of TexAgs Live on the other side. Just about a minute left here on this episode of TexAgs Live, brought to you by David Gardner's Jewelers. And with that, I'll give you a programming reminder once more. No live show Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday. David and the entire crew are back live on Monday, January 5th, as the TexAgs family takes some time off to enjoy the new year. I want to give my thanks and appreciation to director-producer Nick Savage for helping get me through these last 2 days. Kay Nagley doing all the publishing on TexAgs Live these last couple of days, and most days, as y'all might not know. Kaylee Dreyer, an associate producer today, and I think I even saw the mustache man himself. Thanks so much to the crew in the back. And from our TexAgs family to yours, we wish you a very happy and a safe new year. We will talk to you in 2026. Happy New Year and gig 'em.